Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Love Talk. Today we have the incredible, the ever-evolving, and the everlasting Third World, Richie from Third World here with us today. Richie, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. So let's start from the early years then. What year did you actually join the band?
I joined the band at the inception in 1973 when it was formed.
Okay, so it was yourself and Stephen.
Yes, and Michael Lebu Cooper and Carl Barovia and Prilly Hamilton.
Okay, and did you have to audition for that role, or did you all come together as friends?
They kind of knew what you're capable of. I was doing a switch of instruments because I used to be mainly a guitar player, rhythm guitar player. Oh. And they were turning into a permanent bass player. So, you know, kind of idea what we're all doing. So they call it a rehearsal. I guess they're listening to what where your head is at, or what you can do and what not do, or what you're doing. And it was a green light from then on, from the first afternoon.
Excellent. All right. So when researching Third World and understanding the 1973 when you was formed, most of the media described you as boys or men with middle class privileges who decided to go to a rootsism type of liberty, a roots type of liberty. Is that the type of way that you was described at the time? Could anybody describe the music you were making?
Not quite. I mean, not very far from the apple tree still, but you know, it was a case where we had the benefit of reasonable good schooling, but we didn't come from wealthy families, you know, and socially we could interact because we had an idea. We read somewhat a lot. And as I said, we had the benefit of good schooling and this kind of thing, which we put to our advantage. Where at the time, most reggae musicians or Jamaican musicians was coming from a more unprivileged background. So the question is that if you didn't suffer, you couldn't play reggae was the anthem at the time, but that wasn't quite so.
So the influence with Kiat as being able to play amongst an orchestra and the influence in the music itself, where was your influence? Where was your influence in playing the lead, the rhythm guitar and the bass? Where did your influence come from?
My surroundings, you know, hearing Ken Booth, Baron Lee, all kind of different musicians inspired me to say, this is what I want to do too, you know. I wanted to join a band.
And, you know, listening to the music, people also describe it as a fusion, right?
Yeah.
I find like some people say, oh, now you've come out with a new type of fusion with maybe hip hop or rap but to me, even in one song, if they want to call it a fusion, in one song, you could put like, it sounds like sometimes you put 4 different genres in one song even. To me, I wouldn't call it a fusion. I would call it just your way of making music and your way of expressing yourself. I see that each band member expresses themselves differently. And I think to me, that's the magic within your band, is that each member is allowed to express themselves freely on the track that you're working on. Have I got it right?
I think so, totally. You know, we have all this influence growing up in Jamaica at the time. They play all kind of genre music in Jamaica. So we grew up with it all, you know, and some of us are formally trained in a classical music surroundings. So we took a little bit from all the influences that was there before us and put it in our music, and we wanted to be free. We were young and we just wanted to be free and express ourselves musically, and no boundaries, you know. If it didn't come off the way you thought it should, then you just move to the next record.
Right. Now, because of that, I think you set a good foundation for yourselves for the band, which means, so for example, when Bunny Ruggs came into the band, he was able to adapt because his style his style was his style, and each member is allowed to play freely. So that
Right.
fit in well with the band. Condolences and rest his soul. Bunny Ruggs has passed on now, but you was able to replace him again. Have you ever decided to create a band from a youth just to see another band of youths grow?
You mean to form another band with some youth? Yeah,
not giving them the name Third World, or not putting Third World aside, but just the creation of something coming new. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Yes, we'd love to do something like that.
Really?
That would be a challenge, and yeah, we'd definitely give our time and our experience to such a thing. We'd love that.
All right, so going back to the band, one of the initial questions I really wanted to know, and I understand that I think it was Kat's father who originally gave you the name Sons of Third World, and then it became Third World, right?
No, not quite. It was one of his political affiliate.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah, by the name of Clancy Eccles. He was an artist as well. Okay. Anyone can look him up. Clancy Eccles. He was a prominent artist in the 60s, 70s in Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah, he gave us the name.
All right, and it's a. How do you feel about carrying the name even now?
With pride. Very proud.
All right.
And we know what it means to us.
Yeah, what does it mean to you?
Well, at the time in the early 70s, the birth of third world countries, they're coming into their more self-reliance and governing themselves, and countries in the Caribbean getting independence. We were finally getting rid of the monarch that had ruled us for so many years. And, you know, not that they had packed up and left, they had left things behind to control still, but for most of all, third world was coming into being, you know, and there was Michael Manley who was teaching and making sure that everyone gets educated, free education, and, you know, adults, there was reading program like Jamal, where people would learn to read, adults who never thought they would learn to read a book. He thought it was important for everyone to learn to read and, you know, have them aspire for this. So it was the whole, and we were formed at the same time. And, you know, we were close to it, so it means something.
Yeah, and just on the name, looking through, I think you have about 22 albums, right?
Yes.
What is the significance of the name in a rope? What is the significance of the rope?
It have no significance more than it was chosen amongst many, which we liked, and think it could represent, the rope was like a root. Oh. And we just loved it. We stuck with it all the years.
Yeah, and your consistency is amazing. All right, because I really like to break down music and stuff. So before I go into all of that, it's 47 years anniversary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Many, many congratulations. How does it feel to know that you've reached 47 years?
Tremendous. I will look the collection of works that I've done over the years. We're quite pleased. And like our last album, we said there are more works to be done.
Yes.
We're gonna fulfill that.
I was about to mention the album More Works to Be Done, and that was produced by Damian Marley, right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, what an album it is. I think it's amazing. I sat down and listened to it. How was it? I mean, knowing that the Lyceum Theatre, you opened up for Bob Marley back, was it in 1975?
Yes, it did.
Now that his son is produced a Grammy award-winning album for, like, with you, how is that whole combination? How does that feel?
It feels like a full circle. you know, but sometimes you can say you're going in a circle, you're not going anywhere, you're just going around. But each time you go around, you might pick up something or see something that you never saw the first time that you made the track, or you hear something that you didn't hear before, you know, and it approach you differently. Now, fortunately, I had the distinguished pleasure of working with his father and Lee Scratchberry in London in the studio recording Lord to Keep On Moving and Punky Reggae Party. And there's so much similarity between himself and his father, unbeknownst to him, because he wasn't around long enough for him to influence him in that way. But, you know, his birthright.
The blood.
And there's so much similarity between the two of them, Bob Marley and Junior Gong Marley, that it was amazing. And it was an honor for us to do that. We have never been produced by a younger person of such. We usually do our own albums, but this time we give him the rein and say, yeah, you call the shots. And he did a great job.
He did a wonderful job. I think Damien Julian Gunn Marley, I think he is, I think he's just exceptional. And yeah, congratulations on the Grammy.
Thank you.
Imagine 47 years and still winning Grammys. Like, like that's just an achievement in itself.
Honor.
It's an honor. It's an absolute honor. From analog to digital, I really impressed at the way that Third World has managed to grasp on to the new technologies as they come in and the new sounds. I just when I hear it, I was like, I can kind of, it's just so amazing how you all latch onto technology. How is it for you learning new technologies as they come?
You know, we're always a curious band, you know, and we always merge with technology. We'd go to the music store, we'd buy music magazines and read out what is coming out shortly, what people are working on, you know, and the physics behind certain creation or the technology, just keep up with it and keep abreast. And so, you know, when you're with it, you don't realize that you're keeping up with it because you're just, you know, so a cell phone come out and you say, well, I got a cell phone, cool, no, I can make calls where I'm standing. You have to look for a call box, setting up with a cell phone. Then they put a camera on the phone and before you know it, you have a cell phone with their camera. Next thing, they put some recording facility inside the phone. Next thing you know, you're walking around the studio and a photo album, photograph equipment and a phone. And it goes on. And then 10 years pass and say, but wow, where started out is miles away, you know. You have stepped into the future. So we love the technology and we embrace it, but we never make it take over our roots. You know, we have to be ourselves within the technology.
Right.
It can't be the technology, then us. It's us, then the technology.
Right. Coming from Jamaica and doing the and doing the type of music that you do, like we say, it's not the traditional reggae. There's been a lot of talk in the news about dancehall music nowadays. How do you feel music has evolved in Jamaica?
I listened to the charts last night, you know, on a radio station, and it's some darn good music being put out there. You know, I mean, some of these records don't get played enough, but yet still I hear the complaints about you can't get good music. But they're good music within the dancehall circle too. It's there. You just have to try to reach out and see if you can, you know, stream it, whatever it is. But the good music is out there, and I'm very proud of what the younger folks are doing. You know, they're the one who's using up the technology on a high level. You know, they embrace it. Very proud.
this album now, I wanted to, before I get to this album again, I wanted to mention the song Sense of Purpose with Buju. I got that album a few years ago when it came out, Rasta Got Soul. And my husband and I, we were kind of like, who's that on that Sense of Purpose track? And the way the dun, 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 like, oh my God. Yeah. How was it recording that track?
Oh, so long ago.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. It's all right. It had excitement because it was a Grammy-nominated project too.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we were experimenting with other influences at the time, you know, kind of have a pop sound, but we kind of keep the Jamaican end hidden inside it somewhat. When we merge, and we call it our crossover item.
Okay.
You know.
When you say crossover, what do you mean?
Like you said, fusion, we call it crossover.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
We can borrow something from the other side and mix it down.
I love the way you do that as a band, and I think I keep getting stuck with these because that's my favorite thing about listening to your music, is that, and I'm sure it's a common appealing thing. The different sounds that come out of, I don't know how you all make some of those sounds. It's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. No problem. And talking about all of that, even on this album, you've got Busy Signal, for example. When working with new artists or younger artists, or even just working with somebody who's not a band member, how is it, and how are you able to make them comfortable enough and get them onto the same wavelength of your thinking?
You know, they walk into the room, first thing, which we are very grateful, and we wear with a great sense of pride, is a mutual admiration. You know, we hear what they do as artists and say, wow, this person is on a wavelength. And they walk into the room and tell you, say, hey, I've been listening to this from I was like in my Pampers. And you kind of say, Hannah, please be, thank you. Everything, show your appreciation. And they go on the track, you don't direct them, you don't sell it, you don't get no directions. They might make a few comments and say, I don't know, can you do something right here? And they do it, and they come out amazing. But for most part, when the guests were doing the collaboration with us this time, we were not in the studio, we left it up to Damien. Either one will choose the people who collaborate with and what track they collaborate on. And this is right, giving the producer the control. So, you know, when we hear it for the first time, we're just amazed and say, this is incredible. Like in the case of Pressure Bus Pipe, you know, and Busy Signal, Tesson Chin, you know, and Taros Riley, and all the above. And, you know, results are quite pleasing and quite impressive, you know, and can't wait to do it again. Yeah,
it's so amazing. And talking about the bond and the mutual respect, how has it, I mean, when you're friends and it's just, and you're all on the same path, it's kind of easy to remain friends. But can you describe the friendship you have within the band?
Amongst ourselves?
Amongst yourselves.
It's past friendship, it's gone family. You know, so many years that you see, when we started, none of us had any children. Then you see the children having children and making to grandparents. So it past friendship from way back in the 70s. We're now family, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's
watch
just,
them grow them.
And that's also an applauding point, because there's been many bands created in this world, but not many have been able to you know,
Cat Core used to drive him and Marley to music lessons after school in his younger days, which he was very reluctant to attend, but the benefit was there.
I had a feeling something like that was going. Do you know, I'm not even, I'll be honest with you, when thinking about the questions and when researching you and thinking, oh my gosh, Damian Marley produced this album, he must have been so young. I mean, I vision him walking it through the gate as a child, and you all bringing him in, and you know, talking to him, you know, welcoming him as a child. So I had a vision that you were very close. You're all very close, and
yes, he referred to us as uncle.
Yeah, even saying that, I was gonna leave this till a little later, but last week I interviewed Caution, and he said exactly the same thing. It's not just friends, it's now family, you know. And he speaks very highly of you all, you know. And
bless him.
Yeah, that was a touching interview, and I asked him about the performances that he's done with you, and he told me about opening for you when he was younger. How is the music fraternity, the music industry in a whole? How do you find the love within the music itself, within the music industry?
The love around?
Yeah,
in the
like
music industry?
Yeah, from your point of view.
There are people who make great friends, yes. Some of them, you know them, but the association is not that close. But professionally, you still work and you still achieve, and you're still glad to see them around, you know what I mean? And with this pandemic that was bestowed upon us, has changed the playing field so much, you know, make one dig deep within their soul to say, why is this happening and how we're going to survive this? And, you know, and quite a few persons have succumbed to it, has passed away, and we're shaken up by this, you know. God bless him soul. And we just after looking introspective and looking to ourselves and how we're going to come out of this and still playing music. And you have a responsibility as a musician to write songs, to inspire people, give them hope, you know. And we're going to do that, because that's what is meant for us to do.
You do that. You do that.
Mm-hmm.
You do. Like I said, that yeah, I wanna. If I could sing, I would have just sing a piece of one of your songs, but I don't want to spoil.
No, this was meant for you to sing. Please sing.
No. Please don't do that. As an individual, what do you do away from the band? Do you do anything away from the band?
Yeah, a lot of different artists performed with them. Like I said, I did Bob Marley and Master Griffiths. A lot of session works, and you know, and produce some people who the name are not known out there that widely right now, but did some work with some beginners.
Okay, and do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
If it's a dream, you have to play music, and a desire, still a lot of hard work still has to go into it. You can't depend on your luck and your raw talent. You have to put some work in. And once you get over that hump, you sail along for a few miles until the hump comes again and you climb it over and move on.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I always ask this question: if you could speak to anybody, I'm not gonna put any conditions on the question. If you can speak to anybody, whether it be mentor or be mentored by anyone, or just have a conversation with somebody who you've not been able to have a conversation with recently or ever, who would it be?
Yeah. Wow. Again, pick one from a list of people I wouldn't be choosy about, but if any one person that I think I'd like to have a more detailed conversation with someone like Stevie Wonder. I've spoken to him, but not into that manner, because we recorded together, which is just quite an experience. We spoke, but we spoke on the surface. But if I could, in a coffee shop or a cafe, sit down and talk to him and let him tell me some things that his musical journey was like, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you as well, what was your musical journey like?
What my musical journey like?
Yeah.
A path was there before us that I couldn't say there were any icons to follow, because we were doing a band thing where most people were doing artists, a single artist like Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Bunny Wheeler. But we came out as a band, and there's no precedent to say a band from Jamaica that was successful. We kind of laid the foundation for that. And I learned from the experience and glad for the journey. Learned a lot, met a lot of interesting people and so on. And got nominated for the Grammy more than 10 times. That feels good. Been to some places and some stages and some countries that if it wasn't music, if it wasn't a bass guitar, I wouldn't have been there. So pretty much good vibes.
Mentioning the stage shows and traveling the world, you've seen the world, you've seen the world gravitate to your music and reggae music. Do you think the message of love, or how has it been actually living and watching the message of love spread throughout the world?
That has been part of the foundation, the roots of our thing. Because when we first started traveling the world, more than half of the world didn't know what our music was, needless to say. And they didn't know who we were, but they didn't even know what reggae music was. So we had to walk with a stack of records to the radio stations in some countries and hand it to the DJ, and he'd play it, and you can see that strange, obscure look with him. But we just educate people towards the culture, And I've seen cases where we're in Germany or we're in Switzerland, and a group of people come to the concert, and then 2-3 months afterwards, they're playing a concert in Jamaica, and we see them in the front row. They traveled, and you smile and say, well, wow. And the music, and go along with it, so the food is right beside it. Food is a passion.
All right. The whole thing about this show, my slogan is to uplift, to inspire, encourage, and educate the people. I like going back and talking about where you've come from, because I still find there's a conversation going on in Jamaica about liberty. However, I do feel that Jamaica has pushed forward more than it was before. The political issues that was going on that trickled down into the communities back in the 60s and 70s, I don't see that as much anymore, although we understand the crime. But do you feel like the message of love is, I know that there's good music coming out of Jamaica, but do you feel as Jamaica as a whole is grown, or is growing into who they should be?
I think so. Unfortunately, it only take a few to muddy up the water, but for basically the basic Jamaican is still a good spiritual person who just want to work and enjoy life and make a spiritual connection with their gods, So still positive is outweighing the negative.
I'm glad for that. And I'm going to post that as well, because I think a lot of people need to hear it, you know? I think there's a lot of hearsay going around, and there's a lot of finger pointing and blaming.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for clarifying that point, or showing me your observation of that point, because it's good to put the positive out there. Hopefully we can push the positive out there and kind of push out the negative, hopefully.
Of course.
I have a question that I ask everybody. Although you've given us a few messages today, Richie, what is your message that you are sending to the world?
Let's bond together and overcome all this strife that is facing us. You know, I can't survive if you don't survive. I don't want to be in this world by myself or my set of people. We need diversity. You know, I come to your country, you cook your food a certain way, I cook my food the next way. Let's sit down and eat together and not make any wars, because nobody ever win a war. It's pure losers.
Amen. I want to give you the opportunity to freely speak and announce anything you want to announce, or even anything that you think I haven't touched on. Please let me know. Let's touch on it.
I think you have touched it all, you know, and thanks for inviting me here. You know, I would like it for you to, we can work on it, get Cat Core and a few other members to come and call in other days and get a different perspective. I would be quite similar for all I know, but nevertheless.
Well, like I said, thank you so much, and thank you for accepting the invitation. Like, this is just an honor, and anything would be great. So, like I said, please, I know you must have thousands of friends and thousands of people to thank. If there's anybody that you want to big up or announce or say anything, please go ahead. And this is your free time to speak for yourself.
All right. I want to thank Chris Blackwell, who, when we first came to England in 1975, believed in our music and enabled us to work in the studios and, you know, amongst also great luminaries like Bob Marley, etc., etc. And it's people who have contributed to make this journey more doable than it possibly could not be if they were not around. Can't remember the names now, but give thanks to all. Family, children, same family, friends, girlfriends, wives, whatever. Bless them all.
Amen.
Irene.
Amen. So, like I say, it's been an absolute honor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. And like I say, if you can keep the link, it would just be...
1 second. Ethan, come here, turn that down a little bit. This is my son, Ethan.
Hello, Ethan.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I know it's always awkward when your parents introduce you to somebody, but you know your dad is a great man, and what Third World Band has done. I know you're young, but believe me, what your father and the rest of the band have done is absolutely incredible. 47 years in music and still winning Grammys and still being able to collaborate with young artists is an achievement that not many people in this world has been able to do so far. So
thank you.
Thank you for the introduction to your son. And Ethan, please follow me on Instagram or the social medias that you do nowadays. And I'm gonna make sure I keep an eye on what you're doing and how you grow.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for coming to the camera.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Ethan. Bye. That's how they are. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh, I'll be talking about this for the rest of my life. That was amazing. Thank you so much. You take care.
You too.
Thank you once again. And like I said, I'll keep listening out for the ever evolving and the everlasting music.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you would like to promote your music on Love Radio, please find us at www.luvradio.co.uk or email your MP3
to contact@luvradio.co.uk.